Before we start the show, I know I look very different than I do in the show right now. I just got back from the Braves game. Anyways, we have Steve Holman coming on, the radio voice of the Atlanta Hawks, and Jonah Casel from Play-by-Play Sports Broadcasting Camps and 302 Birds up in Philly. So, biggest show we've had yet so far here on the Atlanta Sportscast, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So, without further ado, welcome to the show. All right, the Atlanta Sportscast is back with probably the biggest guest we've ever had on this show, being the radio voice of the Atlanta Hawks, Bang, Steve Holman. Steve, you are approaching being the most consecutive person to ever call basketball games in the history of the NBA. Where are we at in that process of surpassing it?
Well, we're a couple of seasons away right now. Chick Hearn has the record, 33-38 consecutive games. I'm at 31-71 right now, regular season and playoffs. So, God willing, another couple of years, we'll be there.
All right, meanwhile, I'll tell you the story here. I was working my shift at Dairy Queen the other day, and like almost 15 minutes into my shift, I get a notification from Shams that Zachary Richer has been traded. The former number one pick that the Hawks had in not so much of a great draft, but again, what can you do there? What do you make of them getting off Richer in only 2 years? But granted, they got a pretty good haul back for him in Lou Dort, and they only had to give up, and Ryan Nembhard as well. So they got a lot of players now.
Yeah, they did well. Ansi's been very active. As you all know, this summer it's been pretty interesting to see it. I think Lou Dort's going to be, a tremendous addition, and he and Wiggins both, back there with the Oklahoma City Thunder and championship team, and that experience is really going to help us, I think. And the defense is going to be tremendous between the two of them. They're both defensive type players, so I think it's going to be great. As for Zach Richer, I mean, a great kid. He was kind of up against it right from the beginning with that, with being the number one pick, I think, because a lot of people expected a lot more from him, I think, and himself. I think he put a lot of pressure on himself, too, because of that number one pick. So hopefully he'll blossom and do some good things in Washington and get a change of scenery for him. But he's a good kid, and I certainly wish him well, and I think it's going to work out for him.
I think it will too. He'll get a better role in Dallas, I think. I think they're gonna get Kyrie back. They should, and on top of that, they're building all around Cooper Flag. They got some defensive wings out there after they drafted Morez Johnson. I think also you mentioned defense, like not just Aaron Wiggins and Lou Dort. You're pairing Lou Dort with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and what should have been the defensive player of the year 2 seasons ago in Dyson Daniels. That's got to be the scariest defensive backcourt in the entire NBA, in my opinion. That's going to be immensely helpful come playoff time, and like you said, they bring a lot of championship caliber experience, if that makes sense in a way.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting too to see the matchups and how Quinn decides to play guys with certain guys, and that's why they have training camp. That's why they have preseason games, and it's probably going to take a month or so into the regular season to get everybody into the positions that they're going to be in for the season. So it's going to be a fun walkthrough, I think, to see it all come together. We have 17, 18 players on the roster right now, and that means 2 or 3 will have to be gone or changed or something. So I think Ansi and his staff will be working quite hard the next several weeks before we get to training camp at the end of September. So it's going to be quite interesting over the next few weeks to see what happens, and all the other free agents, that all the dominoes start to fall once LeBron does his thing, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, LeBron is certainly holding out as he usually does to make it about him once this decision becomes final here. Yeah, LeBron is definitely going to drag it out as per usual, and I think on top of that, because of how many guys that they have, and I'm not sure they're going to really move off of any of the young pieces they drafted in the past 2 or so years, basically from Asa Newell to this year's draft. I think they're just going to end up stockpiling them in College Park. I mean, heck, College Park could probably become the best G League team the NBA's ever seen.
Yeah, they certainly might. But like you say, with all the new faces and things that are happening, it's going to be fascinating to see when training camp comes. And this might be one of those years where guys are going to play a lot in the preseason games, where sometimes the veterans don't play a lot, but where you're trying to get a whole new team together here with all the new faces. It might be something where we see more of the veteran type players in the preseason games, which should make it kind of interesting.
I mean, that'll definitely make it more interesting for you as you call those games. I mean, typically you're probably used to to the Kobe Johnsons of the world getting run in the preseason. I think for the ceiling of this team, in order for them to fully reach their potential, I think Quinn's going to end up needing to play Kingston and Zuby a bit to get them run so they can fully develop. I think just overall, he hasn't. I mean, he has a track record of just not playing a lot of young guys to start. How much run do you think?
I am not sure. That's all up to Quinn and his coaching staff. They'll all figure that out during training camp, and whoever he puts out on the floor will call the game. That's how it generally works for me. I don't get into the dabbling into who should be playing, when they should be playing, how much rookies should play. I leave that to the Twitter world and all the experts that are out there, who always seem to try to think that they know more than the coaches do. But
Yeah.
I just call the games for whoever's on the floor, basically. So, and I know that they'll do the right things. The coaches will, and they see these guys every day. Basically meetings, film sessions, not only just practice and games. So they know a whole lot more about the personnel situation than I do, certainly, or anybody who's on the outside of it. So that's why I've always done that with every coach we've had, is just let them do their thing. I've never had a coach come to me and tell me how to do broadcasting, so I'm not going to go tell them how to do their coaching business.
Fair point for sure. I think a lot of noise was made, I'd say, once Quinn got his extension from Onsi. What does that really tell you from Onsi's perspective in a way, or your perspective calling the game?
Well, I think that just, it means, as they have been since Onsi took over, is that they're on the same page. I mean, it's quite a good relationship the two of them have. You can tell that they think the same way about the players and who they bring in, what type of player, the factors that all go into that. They want high basketball IQ players. They want good players, good individuals, good citizens. And I think that's the kind of team that they're assembling right now.
I mean, they've got they're pretty loaded at perimeter defense for sure, and they've got some shooters. I think the one thing that I think people would point to, and Hawks fans in general, would just like, hey, can we get a little bit more offense? And I think really this lineup's going to rely more on Jalen taking an even bigger step coming off of last year, which I think he can do. We just ultimately got to see what happens in the playoffs with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's he learned a lot, I think, from the playoff series last year with the Knicks. I think it kind of opened his eyes to everything. And they always say young players have to go through playoffs, and young teams have to go through playoffs. And the old saying that you can't win until you lose, and I think that's very much true with this team now. So I think the experience that the guys picked up during the playoffs is going to bode well for this season and beyond that.
Just in general with them, I think their ceiling for this coming season, in my eyes, I'd be curious to hear what you think. Ceiling for me, probably at best, at their very, very best, is probably the 4th seed in the East. I think they're more than likely going to be hanging around 5 and 6. But it also wouldn't shock me if they're the 7 or 8 seed in the play. And just because they have so many guys and they have to build that chemistry, and on top of how much time the rookies might be playing, where do you feel they may fall in the Eastern Conference standings? Just granted, because the East just completely loaded back up again this year with Jaylen Brown going to Philly, the Pacers coming back, and everything.
The East is going to be very tough. I mean, everybody's improving. Not only us, everybody's improved. So to say they're going to win how many games or where they're going to finish 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nobody knows at this point, because they have to play the games, and you know how it goes with injuries, and what teams are going to be a disappointment, what teams are going to be a big surprise. It happens every year. There are always things that happen that you can't plan on for every team in the league. I mean, you think some teams are going to be fantastic, and then somebody gets hurt, and it throws off the whole season. So number one, it goes on talent around the NBA. Number two, it goes on who's hurt, who's not hurt, who can play the most games. And I think chemistry is such a big thing too. That's so important, along with defense to win championships. But the real thing is the chemistry, and I think that's something that whoever can work that out with all the new players in the league, not only our team but every team in the East and every team in the West has made changes. So that's one of the great things about the salary cap in the NBA is that teams. Every team has a chance. What if we had 7 or 8 in a row of different champions? So I think that's the perfect way for the NBA to look at this, is to try to, have everybody have a shot at it. And that's why it's hard to predict, here we are in July to say who's going to finish where. It's a very tough thing to do.
For sure. I think also the second apron has made I think the second apron is the catalyst for that entire slew of different champions that we've had here over the past eight seasons. They're probably going to have a different one this year as well.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing, and I think that's why baseball, is trying to move towards a salary cap now. Their owners want to try to check what's going on now. I mean, you can't have the Dodgers winning every year, and that's what they try to avoid. And the NFL did this a long time ago with the parity of the draft, and they don't have. Kansas City may have come to the closest to a dynasty, but there aren't any big dynasties in the NFL either, because they've got the salary cap too. Nope. So. I think that's something that all of the sports are going to strive for. The NBA was one of the first to really come in with the salary cap and the rules that allow every team to have a shot at it, whether you're in a big market, small market, where baseball doesn't have that. If you're in a small market team in baseball, you've got no shot.
No, for sure. I think out of all of that, the salary cap, I think the real loser out of the whole second apron era that we've been in with the NBA is the fans, because you could have two-star players and say, I fall in love with watching, say, for whatever reason, Yucca Kongwu becomes a Supermax player. You're not going to be able to keep him. And after a few seasons, that sucks. I mean, I don't know if you saw the kid that went viral on social media being 6 years old and crying that Jaylen Brown left the Celtics.
Right. Yeah. No, that happens. People get attached to these guys, and it's business, along with entertainment and sports. It's all three things. So and the owners are the ones putting out the money. And they can control whatever they want to control, because it's their business, it's their money. I think we're very fortunate in Atlanta to have Tony Ressler and his group here, because they are certainly willing to go out and get the pieces to put together a win. So but like I say, owners have the money that they've put up.
Right.
Teams might be worth billions these days, but it's their money, so they can make those decisions.
For sure. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. You were an amazing guest, and I hope to have you on here in the future as well.
Well, sure thing, John. Anytime you'd like. It's my pleasure, and it's always good to work with you.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much to Steve Holman. Now we've got more play-by-play camp alumni here with Jonah Casel of 302 Birds and Jonah Casel Broadcasting, I believe, on Instagram. Jonah, because of how bad the Braves have been since June, that enabled the Phillies to then catch up from a 10-game deficit in the division lead. Where is this going? I genuinely, this feels like it's going to be like three-ish games all the way through September.
Absolutely. I mean, these two teams are pretty close, at least compared to where they were at the beginning of the year. I thought the Braves were going to run away with it. I really did not expect this Phillies turnaround. I didn't expect the Braves collapse either, but they're even now, and I'm a coin flip, but I think I would end up giving it to the Braves. They're going to get Acuna back. They're going to have another good stretch. It's not just going to be all doom and gloom all the way through. I think the Braves are going to be able to come up with that division title. I don't think the Phillies go three-peat for the NL East.
Do you think, they've gotten off to a better start to start the second half so far right now. Granted, you can make the argument they should have started off 4-0 before losing that disaster game on Saturday to the Rangers, and then obviously last night, we don't talk about last night, Ronaldo Lopez was awful. I didn't really expect the same out of the Phillies getting back into this. I thought they'd be better. I didn't think they'd have the turnaround, like you said, that they've had, considering that it's just the manager change. But granted, that can do stuff to a team. But I just don't. I'm worried about September. Fun fact, the Braves and Phillies played back in May or April, and then won't play again until September. That series. Those two series are now looming heavily over my mind right now, and whether or not I think this division's going to come down to those two series.
Sure. Yeah.
Straight up.
I could absolutely see a world where that happens. I also see a world where one of these two teams either goes on a hot streak or a cold streak, and that series doesn't really end up mattering in the grand scheme of things. Or if they split, and it's just going to be whoever's better for the rest of the season. Which I see the Braves, but honestly, like I said, coin flip either way would make a lot of sense.
Right now in Braves country here, we are praying for a miracle every time anyone not named Chris Sale gets on the mound. So far, if your name isn't Chris Sale, it's basically a formal starter bullpen game, and it's just like, okay, who's coming out now? Oh, great. J.R. Ritchie? Okay, cool. Yep. And then it just keeps on going, and we haven't been able to, like, Robert Suarez still hasn't come back, I don't think. Iglesias, like, we haven't been able to really use Iglesias. Apparently we have the mini Shohei and Victor Medeiros as a joke, considering he got one hit the other night, but he's not Shohei, obviously. And just, again, it all comes down to consistency, and I trust the Phillies' rotation a lot more than I do the Braves right now. Unless Anthopoulos pulls a rabbit out of its hat, but there's not going to be any starting pitching, or really any pitching that seems to be available at the deadline, purely because of how much everyone seems to be in it right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there are so many teams that you could make the argument that they're going to push for a playoff spot this year. Even the Marlins. I mean, they're damn near 500, and they had one of the best months I saw in June. They've got players, but I really doubt they buy. I really doubt they sell either because of their record. But yes, that has been how the MLB has been this year. I like it a lot, and it kind of sucks that they're heading towards a lockout because I think this has been a very solid year for the league.
I think also because of that lockout, we're probably not going to have baseball at all next year. I mean, it's going to be pushing to like, hey, we're not going to have baseball next year. Let's go all in at the deadline. But then again, the only team that seems to be that might actually sell anything is the Giants, and they just came out and said, hey, yeah, we're not trading Webb at all. It's going to be what it's going to be, and I think, frankly, like the Red Sox being on their win streak right now doesn't help anybody.
No, because I thought I was gonna target them as big time sellers. I thought Wilson Contreras was gone. I thought Aroldis Chapman was gone. They might still be gone, but I think it's a lot less likely if they really get themselves back into the swing of things in that division. It's a tough division, but I think they can do it.
Ironically, the Blue Jays are going to be like one of the first teams ever to go from making the World Series to last in their division. Like they've sucked. I think they're probably going to sell as well, but I mean, to your point on the Marlins, their history says the Marlins are likely going to sell everybody and they may be decent and then just not ever show their face again. They're an abysmal franchise.
Yeah, you can say that again.
The Miami Marlins are an abysmal franchise. There you go.
All right.
Well, they may be slightly in the race. I'm not sure exactly how far back they are, but I don't think they can't be more than 5.5 games, right?
Something around there. I know they had a great June. They've had a pretty bad start to July. And well, July's almost over, so.
Yeah, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the season, and what the trade deadline is August 3rd?
August 3rd, 6 p.m. I'm marking it on my calendar.
Jeez, I'll be back first. I'm not sure what time school starts back up for you, but that's the first day of school for us down here in Fulton County. August 3rd.
Wow, I don't start till September. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what time do you end?
I end at the beginning of June.
That's why. It's either, hey, do you either want Memorial Day off or Labor Day off? You get Labor Day off, we get Memorial Day off. So like we're done May 20th or whatever.
All right,
so
that's
we get
great. Yeah.
That's kind of the trade-off there, and I mean I'll graduate May 15th or something like that and have even more time. So that's the trade-off here with most of the country. I know some places are like don't get off till like mid-June, which is actually heinous.
That's bonkers. Yeah.
That's criminal. Now, for the deadline, I think just by the Padres could be interesting.
Yeah,
for anyone to go raid them, like
Mason Miller. What's going to happen?
I don't know. I think overall, like, that'd be so interesting to see, like, hey, we shipped off probably the best prospect in Major League Baseball for Mason Miller and then just flip him around for, like, the next year. I could see Machado gone, possibly. He's getting up there in age, but I don't know. He hasn't really been good this year. I mean, he's been killing the Braves this series, which sucked. But you're in Braves country, and as Braves fans, we need the Phillies to do their job and lose, preferably.
Is that their job? I don't know. Maybe that's Alec Boehm's job recently. I mean, he hasn't had such a great season. Still reminiscing on 2024 when he had a great first half.
I do not reminisce on either the 24 season or the 2025 season. The Braves have been criminally hammered with injuries. I think we've got to be the most injured team. I say we, like I'm on the team, but whatever. It's fans.
What position you playing? When you suiting up?
Ooh, and you know what? I'll take Hassan Kemp's spot. He's kind of sucked as a shortstop so far. He's batting under .07 .70 or .070.
That's rough.
Ironically, we had a bobblehead night for him last night.
Maybe they stick the bobblehead out between second and third. Maybe he'll do better.
The bobblehead might do more on offense than he has done this entire season. Ironically, he's the third highest paid Brave, which makes zero sense, behind Casel and then Austin Riley, who has been the bane of my existence for the past. Austin, I love you, dude. You're a great third baseman. I need you to freaking hit, dude, so bad. I'll say this, the caveat for this race is if Austin Riley continues to heat up like he has in the past few games here, that would likely decide, in my opinion, who gets this division.
Sure.
Overall, Austin Riley and if Acuna does the same, because frankly, Austin Riley and Ronald Acuna have not done much this entire season outside of maybe a 2-game stretch. So,
agreed. It's been Matt Olson's show on offense, and then apart from that, I think Michael Harris has been good, but Braves, I would have expected a little bit more from their big guys.
Olson's been good. He's been solid Matt Olson so far this year, but really, it's been Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin, right. He had a terrible stretch of June when he came back, and he's starting to figure it out now. I think he has like 6 homers since the All-Star break.
That's ludicrous. Wow, that's really good.
So he's definitely back. He is definitely back, and hopefully, honestly, is there anybody like that on the Phillies where they're like their kind of season kind of hinges on whether or not they flip the switch?
It's a good question. I think everybody on the Phillies who I'm expecting to do well has done well, and the only guy who isn't really like that to a certain degree is Trey Turner, who really has been awful on defense, but his offense is really turning the corner. 4-game extra base hit streak. He's been hitting homers. He's back up to, I think, 12 or 13 on the season after a terrible start. So I would maybe expect a little bit more from him on the defensive side, but his hitting has really picked it up. Schwarber's been great. Maybe, I'll say Marsh. I'll say Marsh. I mean, going into the All-Star break, he was hitting .315. He's down at .293 right now. I mean, that's pretty bad.
That's a pretty big drop-off since the All-Star break.
Or maybe it was beginning of June he was hitting 320, 330, and he hasn't had a good stretch. That's what I'm trying to say. Gotcha. Brendan Marsh has not had a good stretch. I need to see him get back to how he was playing in May. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to see how this all folds out, whether or not, because the top 3 are going to be either the Phillies and Braves, whoever's going to win the NL East here, and then the Dodgers and the Brewers. And frankly, who actually believes that the Brewers come playoff time?
I don't know. That pitching factory is pretty crazy, and we can see what they add at the deadline. I think
they've always had this where like they've got elite pitching, to quote Kirby Smart. They've got elite pitching. They can't hit as soon as it comes playoff time. They can't at all, and they end up getting knocked out in pretty much always the divisional series.
I mean, I think that's what we used to say about the Dodgers. Like, Clayton Kershaw, pretty abysmal. They got blown out by the Diamondbacks. Mookie Betts couldn't hit, and now they're back-to-back champs, and they're the favorite for a third. So I don't know. Teams can flip the switch at any time, but if I had to be honest, I don't think either of our teams are going to make a run this year.
I mean, it just takes to get hot. Frankly, I have so much against the Phillies. I mean, granted. In the hierarchy of teams I hate, it goes probably the Saints, Ohio State, because I'm a Penn State fan. They're like the silent killer, like, hey, we know what's coming, and it's just like crap. And we always think we can have a shot every year and just dies before kickoff even starts. Then it goes Saints, Ohio State, then the Phillies. It rotates on mostly the Phillies, and then the Heat in the next. That's kind of my hierarchy of teams. I mean, the Dodgers are up there as well, but not to the degree as the Phillies, because frankly, the 2023 Braves should have murdered everybody to a World Series title.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, and we got punked by Bryce Harper. Freaking attaboy. All right, we will be right back to take a break here, and we'll be back with the most impactful NBA move for this offseason so far, because frankly, it's been a wild one. All right, back here with the most impactful NBA moves over the season. Granted, over this offseason, this is going to be one of the wildest NBA offseasons I can possibly remember. I mean, LeBron still hasn't decided, and like I mentioned earlier with Steve, he's going to drag this decision out and make it all about him, as he usually does. Let's start here real quick. Jonah, where do we think he's going to go?
LeBron, as much as I would like him to go to Philly, I think he's going to end up back home in Cleveland. They're making the documentary as they speak, and he said at Fanatics Fest, well, I've heard Philly, I've heard Miami, I've heard Golden State, And the voiceover is going to cut back in, and he's going to say, well, it was always going to be Cleveland. And he's going to sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they're going to lose in the first round because James Harden's not going to win a playoff series for the rest of his career. As much as I do love James Harden from his time with the Sixers, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I think he lands in Cleveland.
I think he's actually going to land with your team.
Really?
I think he is. I think if he's going to want to go out with, if he can possibly do this, he'll be, I don't know if there's this might be up there with maybe Robert Horry, one of the few players to win, I don't know, 4 different titles with 4 different teams across 4 teams. Like you go there. I mean, he's glorified. He's an even more glorified Bill Walton when Bill Walton was on the '86 Celtics. And also, you don't even have to rely on Embiid now. Like he can just do whatever and just be a closer if he can be. And as much as we like to crap on James Harden for his playoff struggles, the man has never missed the playoffs in his career. 19 straight seasons of being in the playoffs, which is pretty ridiculous. Granted, he never wins, but I think he's going to end up in Philly. And I think, I don't know if you saw this, but the Heat accidentally posted something like LeBron James' introductory press conference. I'm like,
that dude got fired.
I'm sure he got fired, but they said, I'm like, granted, they said just in case he does have
I think it was
happen to sign there. Granted, I think Philly's probably doing this. Golden State's probably doing this. Cleveland's probably doing this. It's either, in my eyes, it's either Cleveland or Philly. I think Golden State is just deployed. It's like, hey, we're gonna go play with Steph, whatever.
I think he's coming east.
I think he's gonna come back to the East, and I think he's gonna want to. It's either gonna be, if best shot to win a title, it's either gonna be on Cleveland or Philly. Outside of Golden State's not going anywhere. Period. We've had some crazy moves. We had Jaylen Brown get traded to the Sixers for essentially a bag of chips and a couple first-round picks, and not even good ones. Apparently, that wasn't even the Sixers' best picks. You were making the argument that this was the most impactful move. Why do you say so?
I think simply it turned the Sixers from a team that I'm watching with the thought in the back of my mind just that they're just going to go to the second round and lose again because they don't have what it takes to get over the hump. It turned them from that into a contender that I truly believe could win the championship with their construction today. Even if they add LeBron, I don't think it does too much to their championship chances. I think they are a championship contender as we speak. I mean, they have the big 4. I mean, we've seen big 3s before. This is a big 4 with LeBron, Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid. Or not LeBron, Jaylen Brown, Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid. I'm saying LeBron because I really want him to come. But no, Jaylen Brown, Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid, those 4 players could all be all-stars in their own right. Embiid is still one of the best players I've ever watched when he's on the court. Brown is still an MVP finalist from last year, top scorer in the league. Maxey, also a top scorer in the league, 2 28-point-per-game guys in Maxey and Brown. This offense is going to be unbelievable, and I think that move, like chef's kiss for Mike Gansey, it really turned the Sixers into an immediate contender.
My only question with that team is it going to be Maxey's team or is it going to be Jaylen Brown's team? Or is Embiid ever going to throw his hat in the ring? And, like, that'd be my one concern. Granted, like, the whole reason why Boston moved off of him was purely because, hey, Jaylen's going to want his own team, and this is kind of Jason's team at the moment, and it's just going to be a whole hodgepodge of, like, hey, this might be a complete disaster here. Also, if LeBron ends up in Philly, what would be a more destructive scene in Philadelphia? Either the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, I guess for the past year, or LeBron actually signing with the Philadelphia 76ers of all teams.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, Philly is a football town first and foremost. I mean, I don't even think it'd be close. The Eagles winning the Super Bowl, people are out on the streets climbing poles. LeBron might get one crazy pole climber, but I think people are going to keep themselves pretty contained. A championship is different from a really good player signing.
That one really good player also happens to be probably the second best player of all time. So, oh, you're saying first?
I will say first.
Okay.
But that is not what we're talking about right now.
We're not.
That is the topic for another time.
I think it's either going to... I want to see not the Clippers, jeez. I've got Kawhi on my mind here. Toronto could be very interesting. I think him going back, he was just coming off... Kawhi's coming off a great year. They could be really interesting as well. Like, the East is... If the East doesn't win the NBA Finals again this year, I think that's honestly a disappointment. And I just... At this point, it's like OKC and the Spurs against the field.
I was going to say, look at the Thunder. I mean, I see no reason why the Thunder shouldn't be title favorites.
I mean, them. I mean, I guess the one argument is, hey, they traded away their biggest glue guy in Lou Dort to my team, the Hawks. So,
True.
and the Hawks probably put together the
No more
scariest
Isaiah Joe either.
defensive
He was
backcourt.
such a good player off the bench.
I think the Hawks. You can make the argument the Hawks might have the scariest defensive backcourt in the entire NBA.
Maybe scariest. I don't know about scariest defensively. I'm scared of Lou Dort.
I think Lou Dort. I mean, either you got Lou Dort or you're gonna have Dyson Daniels hounding you.
Yeah.
That's criminal. Still no big man in the middle, so it's gonna be all or nothing on the perimeter defense, and pray to God and a 6'9" and Yaka Kongwu can hold his own against the likes of Joel Embiid and Mitchell Robinson and Jared Allen and whoever else. Sneaky underrated, maybe John Morant
For biggest move.
for most impactful move for sure. I think if he gets his head on straight.
Sure. I thought that the Grizzlies were robbed. Like, send the Blazers to jail. I mean, that's crazy. They did not get a single pick for John Morant. That's diabolical to me. And Morant, I mean, do I see the Trailblazers making the playoffs? They're probably a play-in team. So I don't know if I can give the most impactful award to a team that I don't think is actually going to be a top 6 team in their conference.
That's fair. I think, yeah, just overall, I mean, they've got El Cheapo as their owner now. Like, they refuse to pay their coach. Thiago Splitter now goes to the Bulls, and I think that's going to be, I think the Bulls are going to be a lot more, they're finally getting themselves out of play-in purgatory and just being absolutely a heinous team to watch just over and over again. I mean, you got Caleb Wilson. Shout out Holy Innocents here in Georgia, but or in the Atlanta area. But them not I think them, had they re-signed Thiago Splitter for the Blazers, I think they're probably the 6th seed in the West. I think that's
I could totally see it. I mean, let's just think. The Thunder, the Spurs, the Nuggets, Timberwolves. Those are the 4 teams that are guaranteed top 6. Beyond that, not sure.
I mean, where else are we going in that conference? I mean, the Lakers probably, Houston.
I'd give the Warriors a shot.
I don't know about how they're going to perform without Jimmy Butler and considering how the rest of the season ended. I mean, granted, it's Steph Curry, and
they're worth a mention at the very least.
They're worth a mention. I think the Suns might be worth a mention. They massively improved last season. But I think the 4, 5, 6 races in both conferences are going to be one of the most fun things to watch this upcoming season.
I agree. Who gets to lose in the second round to either the Thunder or the Knicks or the Sixers or the Spurs? That's basically what the race is.
I just need, at this point, as a Hawks fan, I need Jalen Johnson to step up.
Yeah.
Big time. This is based off the moves, I think, and the Hawks are over the player limit. And they're probably going to end up making here another move. I wouldn't be shocked if Ryan Nembhard's gone, if Corey Kispert needs to be gone, frankly.
Corey Kispert, the guy who I was looking at as a Sixers trade deadline target. I'm kind of glad that he did not end up becoming a Sixers trade deadline target.
I mean, he's a shooter. That's about it.
Sure.
That's no defense whatsoever. And they need to... Hey, how about a little Jaylen Brown for Corey Kispert and possibly... You're playing Sixers GM here. I offer you Corey Kispert,
okay,
a first-round pick, and let's throw in possibly a Jock Landale for Jaylen Brown.
You know, I wasn't considering it until you put in Jock. And now I think I'm going to have to consult with my associates, and I'll get back to you on that one.
It turns out, all right, Jonah Casel has, frankly... turned down and lit up the Hawks general manager's office for putting out such a disgusting trade. All right, Jonah, thank you so much for coming on, man. This is great.
Of course.
And
happy to be here.
Hope to have you on here soon as well. And if you ever want me on your pod, I'd be happy to come on as well. So, all right, this will be it for the podcast here. Big thanks to Jonah Casel and Steve Holman. Bang. Have to do the bang. Fun fact, he gets asked if he copied Mike Breen. He did not. He did it before Mike Breen. He got it from Johnny Most, which he learned from, and then Mike Breen picked up on it, and Mike Breen made it famous in a way.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so. Steve, all right. Again, thank you, Steve Holman. Thank you, Jonah. And this was probably the biggest podcast in the Atlanta Sportscast history, and hopefully it'll only get better from here. Signing off for me and Jonah. So long, everybody.